Welcome back. Another episode of An Entrepreneur's Journey. I want to talk to you guys about compounding interest. So this is very important to know, especially living in a capital society like the United States. Not everywhere in the world actually has interest. They do in some shape or form, but not to the extent that it's systemized in banking, credit facilities, student loans, and rate of returns on your investments. So I want to talk about compounding interest for a while because it definitely affects your life. So what is compounding interest? Compounding interest is, I'm driving here, so going to the office today to get some work done, but I want to put this out there. So let's talk about this. Compounding interest is when, let's say, I'm going to give it to you from both perspectives. So you owe money. If you owe money, compounding interest is if you owe 5%, annual percentage rate, right? That means if you take out $100 on your credit card and it's 5%, it's usually not. So let's give you a better situation or example. Let's say it's 20%, right? And you take out $100. You decide you want to treat everybody for dinner. Big mistake, big guy. Should have had the cash, right? 20%. What does that mean? That means at the end of the year, you're going to owe $120, right? So that's compounding interest. Now, that's interest. I'm sorry. That's interest. Compounding interest is at the end of next year, you're going to owe 20% on the 100 and the 20. So you're going to owe 20% on 120. So let's say you don't pay it off for 2 years. At the end of next year, you're going to already owe 120 from the first year. And then after that, it's going to compound, right? Because the 20% interest is now based off of $120, which means you're going to owe 20 plus the, what's 20% of $4? $4 for the other 20. So you're going to owe 24. So now your total debt is 144. 144, right? Now do this again on your third year. And now you owe 20% on 144, right? So the interest that accumulated on that 144 is now, what is it? It's 2, 4, 8. You're gonna owe 128. I'm sorry, 28, right? $4. Give me a second. I'm driving. I'm trying not to get killed. Okay, so you owe 120 the first time. Then you get 20% on the 120, you're up to 144 you owe, because they charge you $24 for your interest, right? Because your interest was based on that. So now after the 144, you're almost at $30 interest, right? So now your interest payment, you add that on and you're at 150, 60, 70, 174, 176, somewhere around there, right? Whatever 20% is of that 144. So that's compounding, meaning your interest rate, your interest payments are going to get higher and higher. So now, how does that work on the flip side? Compounding interest is very interesting, right? Because there's a lot of instruments out there like stocks, like bonds, even some hard assets like land or real estate that they compound, meaning the payments go up, right? So what does that mean? If you get 3% on Disney stock today, and you're still getting 3% on Disney when it goes up to, double the price, that's a compounding interest. So a lot of dividends, when they come back and you reinvest them and you buy back the stock. So for example, you have a stock that is $100 and it pays 3% interest on dividends yearly. What does that mean? That means every year you're gonna get a dividend of $3 for every stock you own in that company. Now next year you take that $3 and you buy more stock, right? And they can sell fractional shares, meaning you don't have to have the whole $100. Once you buy one, you can actually, it's called a dividend reinvestment program, and you can actually buy fractional shares in whatever company, right? What does that mean? That means, you may own 1/10 of a share, but your dividend is allocated to that 1/10, right? So if you got $3, you'll get 30 cents for that 1/10 of a share next year. What's my point? When you rebuy it, right, next year, now you got one stock and 1/10 of a stock, which means instead of your dividend, if it's still at 3%, assuming that the stock didn't change, and that and this works with bonds as well, now your payment, right, for your dividend next year is going to be $3.10. And then the year after that, even more because you bought more, right? You use that $3.10 to buy more stock. So now next year, your payment is going to be $4, $5, and that's coming to you. So compounding interest works both ways. You know, a lot of people only see it from the prospect of, you know, all these people rushing, they're tailgating my ass. Some people are like, you gotta go, you gotta move fast, man. A real boss moves, you know, doesn't move for anybody. So always have your agenda in place. Let these fucking suckers pass by, and keep moving on what you're doing. I'm sorry, I digress. Back to my point about compounding interest. My point about compounding interest is everybody looks at it from the perspective of, you know, what you owe. And that is important, because if you owe anything, you want to pay off your highest interest rate, because that's the one that's going to accumulate fastest. And that's also, by paying that off, it's going to lower your debt ratio the quickest, by paying off your highest interest rates, right? Or your highest compounding interest rates. But from an investment standpoint, people have to understand the longevity. If people understand compounding interest, and you buy solid companies, maybe the Dow 30, companies with international exposure, or you're into bonds, you should definitely have a certain amount of bonds around, right? Guaranteed money, either from a company or from governments, right? Treasury strips, or notes, corporate bonds, AA, AAA, those are ratings, right? Bonds from big companies. Those are good to have. But what you have to understand is that, so for example, if the stock market crashes, right? If tomorrow you have a bond or a stock that's paying you 3%, today you have a stock that's paying you 3% interest, and tomorrow the stock market crashes, right? For the most part, if you look back at a dividend history, and if you Google any stock on Google or Yahoo Finance, you'll see their dividend history. You'll be able to tell whether the company can withstand, right? So companies like Coca-Cola, for example, and a lot of great companies, they didn't stop the dividend when there was a financial collapse. You can look back through history and say, oh, look, you know, this was the tech bubble in the 90s, or this was the real estate bubble in 2010, right? Whatever it was, you're going to be able to look and say they didn't stop the payment. What does that mean? That means if you got 3%, if a stock is $100 and it gives you 3%, and then all of a sudden tomorrow the stock market crashes and that stock is $50, that stock still pays the same dividend. Meaning, if that stock paid a $3 dividend every year, that stock is still going to pay a $3 dividend at 50 when you can buy it at 50. Which means now your rate of return, your dividend rate of return is 6%. It just doubled. You just doubled your rate of return, right? You doubled your interest that you can make on that bond. So what people don't realize is when you buy a certain stock or a bond and the thing collapses. Now, again, there's situations where the thing is going to collapse. It's not going to come back. So you have to be careful. These, you know, all investments are risky, and the more you know, the more you're going to earn. So learn a lot, ask a lot of questions, and dig deep. But my point is that compounding return is now bigger when the stock crashes, right? So or the bond crashes. So same thing with land, you know, if or an apartment building or real estate, if you could get $1,000 rent for a house that you can buy for $200,000, and all of a sudden the real estate market crashes, and you could buy that same house for $100,000, but still get the $1,000 rent, right? You just doubled your rate of return of what it was a little while ago. So if you bought it, my point is, if you bought it high, if you bought the stock at 100 and then it goes to 50, or if you bought the house at 200 and then it goes to 100, the way that you're playing a long-term game, right? All these asset purchases, especially in the form of dividends and interest payments back to you or rent, are long-term plays. My point is, you have to buy it down. What does that mean? That means buy it again. So if you bought it at $100,000, you got $100, and you got $3 a year. That's 3% interest. If it goes down to 50, and you still got that $3, right? Dividend payment, you buy it again. What does that mean? That means now you got one stock that you bought at 100, and you got one stock you bought at 50. So your average purchase price for that stock is 75. Meaning when that stock gets to 76, you made a profit, which is a big mistake a lot of people make, because what happens is if you buy the stock, right? If you buy a stock and you watch it go down to 50, and then you say, oh man, this thing is a piece of crap, I'm gonna wait till I get my money back. You gotta wait till it gets back to 101. Whereas if you buy an extra one, all you have to do is wait till it gets back up to 76, right? Because you split your cost of that share. But that's how compounding interest works. And in investments, when things go down, your interest rate or your payment back to you, whether it's your dividend or your rental rate, goes up, right? That percentage, that ROI percentage goes up. So that's compounding interest. Understand, when you have debt, you want to lower your compounding, you know, whatever highest interest rate, you want to pay that off as fast as you can. And when you have interest, when you have bonds or stocks, you want to look for the ones that are paying the biggest dividend yields or the biggest rate of returns annually. And that will compound if you continue to buy that stock or that dividend with that interest payment that comes in. So I hope this was helpful. Subscribe to the channel if you like it. Ask me any questions on the comments or on my blog, pushyourrank.com, and follow me on Twitter at Nicholas Coriano. Love you guys. Talk to you guys soon. Hope you guys have a motivated, productive day.